Naomi Watts and Bill Murray are here from The Friends. It's in theaters nationwide. Bill is throwing fruit into the audience, garnishes. Scott McGee and David Siegel are the co-writers and directors of The Friends. What a great time. I am lit. Let's go back to the virtual fans. Meg and Madison from Philadelphia. What's your question for Naomi Watts?
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Cheers.
Is it true that you were considered for the role of Miranda Priestley in The Devil Wears Prada before it went to Meryl Streep?
I had no idea. This is the first I'm hearing it, as if they would come to me before Meryl.
All right.
Naomi is a bitch, but she's no Meryl Streep bitch.
All right.
Oh, my God.
Let's go to Jessica. Hi, Jessica. Hey,
Oh
Bill.
my gosh. Hey, Andy.
Hey, Jessica. Hey, Bill Murray. Guess where Jessica's from?
Don't tell me. I'm going to guess Mars.
Yeah.
Similar. She's from Cleveland.
Cleveland?
And not only that, what is your connection?
How would I have guessed
I don't know. I didn't know if you would guess. What is your connection to Bill Murray, ma'am?
I have him tattooed on my arm.
Wow. Can we see it?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh,
Oh.
my God.
No.
There it is. Bill. That's major.
Now, I'm going to guess again. Are you sure it's not Mars?
What's your question? What's your question?
Hey, what was the most euphoric part about being in the Chicago Cubs locker room during the 2016 World Series win?
Oh, how cool.
I'll tell you. Well, it was euphoria. The Cubs hadn't won in 108 years. Is that right? And they won, and the Fox team really didn't know exactly how to handle it. And one guy, we have time for this?
Yeah.
So basically, I have few regrets. I've made a lot of mistakes, but I don't regret most of them. One regret I have is that Eddie Vedder and I, who's also a great Cub fan, ended up on the field after the Cubs had won the World Series in Cleveland. Sorry. But, and there was idling this 2016 Chevy Camaro or some kind of Corvette or some kind of, it's idling there, and he looks at me, and I look at him, and I look at him. We really wanted to steal the car and drive around the field, but we realized we'd never be allowed back into Cleveland again if we did.
Okay. Would that be the worst thing?
No.
Okay.
No, not just from, no matter where it was. It's the only, that's why I said I regret. I wish we'd done it. But we went into the locker room, and you see people with the goggles on when they're doing the champagne thing. People curse on your show all the time.
Yes, do it.
Yeah, it's complete bullshit. Anybody that wears goggles when you win a world championship is half a person. If you can't take the sting of champagne when you won a championship, I don't want to know you.
Yes.
I really don't want to know you, because they were pouring champagne on my head, not that I did anything, and it felt so good. It felt so great, and it was actually kind of an eye wash. I thought I saw things clearly, and
it was kind of an eye wash. Is that what you said?
I've turned my life around since 2016. I'm a different person.
Wow. 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 Bill, Pat,
you have champagne here.
Yeah, just spray it in your eyes.
Just try it yourself at home. One bottle, two bottles, you'll know.
Yes. Bill, what were the after parties like at SNL in the day?
Well, my particular after party was, I always had to sort of decompress, so I went from down in the studio at 8H up to the offices on 17, where I had like a tiny little refrigerator, and I had the guys from Bill's Liquors on 54th Street across from the Monkey Bar deliver me 4 bottles of champagne. Not that I was like that way, but I had like friends that would come from back home and so forth, and I'd just say, come on up here, and you couldn't sort of go out in the world because you were so energized, you were so like, you're almost too dangerous to go out in the street because you're
amped up.
You were so crazed.
Yeah.
So you sit there, and the first thing I'd do is I would put on the Spinners, and it would, and play Mighty Love, and I'd play the best hits of the Spinners, and just sort of take myself down a little bit. We'd finish the 4 bottles of champagne, and then we'd go out to the party, which was usually down at the Blues Bar. We'd start down there, and that was this bar that Danny Aykroyd and John Belushi had that was, you're not getting in. You know, there was like they would open the door and go, yeah, okay. Okay, but I remember dragging people out of there on their feet, but it was the most fun. It was it would never have passed code.
Yeah,
you know, it would never have passed code. Yeah. It was just a room with alcohol.
Right.
And that lasted that way, and then because they were trying to keep us safe, they would give us a car to drive around for the night. Am I talking too much for?
No.
Well,
I want to know.
I
want to know this.
Okay.
Keep going.
So they would give us a car just so we'd be safe. They'd give us like a car to drive around. And I'd always have my friends from back home, and I'd say like, okay, 5 boroughs. And we would just do the 5 boroughs in the car.
Wow.
And it was a car that had like
We're going to 5-borough it. Wow. I mean, that's no small,
And it had a
thing.
It had a moon roof, and it'd be like, did you ever think we'd be doing this back at St. Joe's grade school? You know, and we'd be standing outside the roof of the car, going through the 5 boroughs, across the bridges and the ferry and everything.
Wow.
And then you get back home and they go like, gosh, Billy, you're so different than grade school. You know, okay. But I was exactly the same. Yeah. Is the mythology about the drug use at early days of SNL overblown, or was it just full of blow at the time, or what? Of course it is. Of course it is.
Of course it is overblown, or yes.
Or it was blown.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to give you that one because she's not a citizen of our country.
A dad joke?
No, you know, it's a joke where people say like, oh yeah, they were all on drugs. Yeah. People were able to create a live 90-minute television show every week, just high and completely out of control on drugs.
Right.
Real likely, very likely, right? I mean, if people took drugs and people took drugs, I hear that there are people even today. So if people took drugs, they didn't take them to get in the way of letting down their friends, their fellows, and all these professionals. There's an incredible group of professionals that made that show. It wasn't just a handful of actors and writers. There were dozens and dozens and dozens of professionals going, you better get this right. I built this damn thing so you'd make it right. You had an obligation to people, and people respected that. Real professionals do that. You know, you talk about people that have, you know, drugs or alcohol, whatever they are. You know, if it happens, it's after work. You know, especially young people like we were. You know, after work, it's like, God, you got to let go.
Yeah.
You know, people felt like I have such a responsibility that you have to, that just to release, it's like even to let go after doing that show. I'm telling you, I had to go to my office for a couple of hours before I could go out on the street. I wasn't safe because I would have you just had this crazy energy that you had to move. The drug thing was like, you know, it's cool to say, oh, and they were all druggies. Really? What the hell did you get done while we were doing that? Yeah, right. What did you get done while we were doing that?
I want to ask you one more question before I let you two go. You famously did a bit on SNL. When you came on, you replaced Chevy. You did a bit where you said, I've let you down. I haven't been that funny yet. You know, did you write that, or whose idea was that?
Yeah, it was funny. Both Lorne Michaels and I had the same idea at the same time. He said, Billy, come on, you know, I went and talked to me. He said, I got this idea. I said, I had the very same idea. So he was like, he was so relieved because he thought he was going to break my heart by saying, why don't you just sort of apologize? I said, no, I want to apologize because as the new guy on the show, no one trusts you at all. So you have nothing to do. No writer will write for you because you're just like, you know, you're that cup of pencils over there. No writer wants to give you anything to do. So you and what they gave you was, you know, the second plumber, or the second FBI agent, the second cop, and so you're just sort of like you're just kind of like a dead face all the time.
Did things change after you did that sketch?
Well, I think people kind of, when you cop to the fact that you know it's not happening,
right.
You're like, okay, I'm going to cut this guy a little slack. Right. And that's is what happened. And then I got, then I kind of wrote a couple, I wrote a good piece. And then.
What was the first thing that you felt like hit on SNL?
Well, actually, the first time I was on the show, am I talking too much for you?
Stop asking that. We're loving it.
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
The first time I was on the show, when they sort of gave me a test run, they gave me 3 great pieces to do, including a great Tom Schiller piece where I was the director of a televised execution, and it was like right in my wheelhouse. It was like fantastic. And I had another great Alan Zweibel piece that I did, and another one I can't remember right now, but I had 3 great pieces. And it was just sort of like, well, we'll just see thing. And, walking to the party afterwards, Lauren said, well, I guess you'll be moving to New York.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And it was great. So I had the job, but then when I had the job, I went to the back row.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the hell your question was.
My question was, what was after your apology thing, what was the first thing
it was like
the lounge singer?
It was like you took a deep breath. It was like you passed gas, whatever. He was like, okay, at least that's there, and it's not this thing hanging over. When you walked around Manhattan then, it was like the biggest thing. Saturday Night Live was an enormous thing. It was a very big thing, and you walk into that building of 30 Rock, and you're like, God, just being in the ground floor of this extraordinary building with this artwork and this epic structure and this demand for excellence, you're like, God, I know I can do this. It's just not happening instantly. And then when it did happen, I was like, I really appreciate the people that believed in me.
What was the thing that made it happen?
Well,
do you think?
I don't know. I think I probably got it from my parents and my family, but I believed in myself.
No, but what was the sketch that made it? What was the sketch?
Oh, I did a shower mic scene where I with Gilda, and with Buck Henry.
Okay.
Oh.
Where I played a guy with a shower microphone. You ever see those soap shower mics? Well, I had a shower mic, and I'm singing in the shower mic, and I want to bring in my wife, and it's Gilda, And then I'm doing this thing, and then she's cheating on me with this guy right here, and I bring in Buck Henry. So there's the 3 of us in the shower, like, hey, I'm doing this thing with them, and it was just, it worked. It worked very, very well. It was very, very powerfully funny, and it was like, ooh, it was that good. It was really good.
I want to thank Bill Murray, Naomi Watts, Scott, and David. Go see The Friend, everybody. It's in theaters Friday. For more... Oh.
I just want to say...
Hold on.
I just want to say, since we're on television, I'm like, I'm really happy about the way things have turned out for me, but things haven't been great for Naomi. And I want to say that, and I'm not doing this for any reason other than I wouldn't say it if I didn't believe it. Her performance in this movie is the best performance by an actress that I have seen in a very, 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 very long time. I can't even remember whoever did anything as good as you did in this movie.
Oh, that's fair. I did too. It's The Friend, and it's in theaters on Friday, and it stars Naomi Watts and Bill Murray. For more, click around BravoTV.com. Good night, everybody.